the Kota iRadio Network New Year's celebration, where we go back in time and narrow it down to the top of what 2019 brought to us and the decade. And your host,
the Tiger Man,
DJ Barbecue,
and Cole Dawson.
Biggest icon in wrestling.
Let's do this.
All right, boys, this is the end of the year. It's been a long, crazy 2010s. We're at 2019. We're on December 31st. Myself, DJ Barbecue, the Tiger Man, and Cole Dawson have things to talk about. Boys, start us off. Cole, go ahead and what you think about this whole decade, this whole year of professional wrestling.
Oh, man. Well, let me just say, we'll start with the year of 2019. It was absolutely a huge year in professional wrestling. Lots of really awesome and important things happened. The independents died because all of the rest of the world incorporated and started their own TV shows. Super entertaining. There's a flood of content if you're a wrestling fan. It is a good time to be a wrestling fan if you want something to watch. I wish that this was the reality when I was 15 years old and I could just watch everything on my computer. But as far as the decade goes, it was kind of a down decade for the wrestling business, and the last 2 years it's kind of ticked back up, and I'm pretty excited for the next decade of professional wrestling. How about you, Dave?
I want to say we did have a pretty big year. A lot of superstars coming up. A lot of them really kind of making waves. Thunder Liger is retired now.
I know.
A lot of WWE talent should be retired right now, but they're not. They're still going strong.
Is he retired, or does he have one more match on the fourth?
I thought he was retired officially. No.
I'm pretty sure his last match is at Wrestle Kingdom.
It is at Wrestle Kingdom, and he made a press release that he was going to retire with his mask on.
Oh, there we go. Then he has one more match, and that doesn't change the fact that there's a lot of WWE talent that should be retiring as well.
Name names.
Let's see. Undertaker, Goldberg, Big Show. Well, he didn't even wrestle, but they need to just be like, look, stay in the background. We'll pay you. Help the talent up there. You're good in the ring, but we don't want to just spoil your legacy right now.
I will take a slight issue with the fact that they should retire. They're at the moment. And the last time Goldberg was on Raw, it was the first time in a very long time that a genuine superstar was on the TV and the crowd was absolutely insane. And there was no doubt that WWE has not made a star in the last 20 years. And clearly Goldberg, who hasn't even been in a WWE ring since, 2001, when he came back, even just this last year when he was on Raw, when he wrestled Dolph Ziggler to set up for that. It was the biggest pop I'd seen on TV in years, and I think it was even bigger than the one Austin got at the Raw reunion show.
Yeah.
But what did that match with Undertaker at Crown Jewel actually do for either of them?
Well, that match didn't do anything, although I don't think the match was as bad as it got shit canned. I will say that once Goldberg concussed the shit out of himself, he probably should not have tried to do, or they probably should not have tried to do a backflip reversal out of a tombstone. But I thought if they just would have hit that one spot, if they would have hit that tombstone clean, it would have been a good match. But once they fell off that, it was like, okay, and then it just goes to the, Taker should retire. I'm like, yeah, well, when Taker wrestled Cena in 2-minute squash at Mania, it was great. That's I don't think Taker should be out having 20-minute matches anymore. We should definitely stop doing that forever. You saw what happened in the tag match with him and Kane versus Shawn and Hunter, and Hunter tore his pec, and the match went to shit, and they went 30 minutes, and it was just really not good at all in any way, shape, or form. But they probably shouldn't be having 20-minute matches. I can stipulate that, but
it does nothing for their legacy. It does nothing.
Well, yes, but their legacy is set in stone. It's not. The only way they're going to hurt their legacy is if they go out there for 30 minutes every night and stink up the joint. But they're not going to do that.
Let them just have a backstage role. Let them just be out of the spotlight. Just let what they did, which was all this great stuff, be there. You know what I mean? You don't need to soil the pool. So they should just retire. WWE should learn how to build characters now. It's ridiculous on the point where they just can't build anyone up.
Yeah, well, I don't think that anyone ever really needs to retire in wrestling. They definitely don't need to be recurring, ongoing characters, but roll them out once or twice a year to do an in-ring promo in the gimmick, and then maybe have a 5-minute match tops at the most, just for the attraction of it. Because I tell you right now, I'd watch any pay-per-view if they said they were going to have Hogan on in his, in a match, even if he wasn't. We know for a fact he's not taking a bump. I'm fine with guys coming out and having a little 2-minute whatever spot, but yeah, definitely don't put them on the road. Don't shove them down our throats anymore. But it's been this decade. There's basically nobody left besides Randy Orton from the roster at the beginning of the decade to right now. It's pretty insane how much turnover they've had on WWE.
I got a question for both of you. We talk about how a lot of these athletes need to retire because of their age and stuff. Do you think that we'd have, and you guys can both answer this, do you think that this is because they have that Saudi event? Do you think we'd be talking about this if they didn't have the Saudi event? Because you have to factor in the hot weather, the shit atmosphere. Do you honestly think that we'd be able to have these conversations and say that these guys need to retire? Because, all of these matches that they have been having, crap matches, have been at the Saudi event.
I don't think it necessarily has anything to do with the Saudi event. I mean, when you're talking about getting a 7-figure payday for one day because, the royal family wants you to wrestle in Saudi Arabia, you're not going to turn that down. I think it's pretty silly for us to tell people, no, you can't go make $3 million for one day's work because you're 50 years old, or because the match isn't going to be as great as we would like it to be. That's just a little silly to me in the first place. I understand, I love Taker, and I wish that he never came back after he laid his gloves in the ring, because I'll be honest, it's one of the few times I was moved to tears during a wrestling match. And my sister sent me, she happened to be at Mania that year. And literally when they broke down every single thing in the entire arena, they left the ring and left Taker's gloves as the last thing that they took down in the whole arena after the set, everything. And it was such a monumental thing that I wish that was the end just as far as everything goes, but it wasn't. And so if he's going to keep wrestling, I'm happy to see him because it's Undertaker, as long as he doesn't wrestle 30 minutes anymore.
Dave?
I think if it didn't happen in Saudi Arabia, it would happen somewhere else. Straight up. Like I said, they're not building stars. It's going to happen somewhere. That they got to use what they have. They just need to take a step forward and start building stars, and maybe use enhancement talent again to kind of build them up without tearing other characters down.
Do you think that they should go away from the amount of pay-per-views? Because you've seen over the years in this decade, even in 2019, they have kind of either decreased pay-per-views or they've increased. They've tried to do brand split pay-per-views. What are your guys' thoughts on that?
Well, I don't necessarily think they should do less pay-per-views. I just think that they need to build towards the pay-per-views and not give away all the matches on Raw and SmackDown. Like, why am I going to watch a pay-per-view? They need to make the pay-per-view special. They're not special anymore. It's just the same old shit that we see every single week on Raw. So why, or SmackDown, why do I care?
Right. Dave?
Yeah, I think they've always had a good number of pay-per-views. The fact is we're just seeing the same matches over and over again.
Right.
No one and they just bury them when they job them out. They just bury the characters, and then we're expected to really give a shit the next time they wrestle, and it's just not how it works.
Right. The one that really got me upset was the last pay-per-view that they had. It was a tag team match. It was the OC and the Viking Raiders, and they squashed that. And then Monday night they're wrestling again, and they gave the win to the team. And it's like, you could have just done that at the pay-per-view. That would have been more of a pop and better planning, and then move on from there. But you've seen over the years, it seems like they've gotten worse as the years go by in this last decade, especially in 2019. It's the same stuff. Why watch it when even WrestleMania at the beginning of the year wasn't even like a WrestleMania. It just is like, all right, we've already seen these.
Well, I'll bring up the my favorite era of WWF was the early 90s. With the whole Bret Hart and all this. You never really saw Bret Hart defend the title on Raw. You saw him,
the first title run
times.
He did. The first title run, he wrestled every single TV, everything. And part of that was because they didn't give Bret a big build-up. Like, he just won the title at a house show, and they put it on Coliseum Home Video with no advertising whatsoever. And all of a sudden, oh, guess what? Ric Flair's not the champion anymore, guys.
Yeah.
And then Bret wrestled Virgil and Skinner and the Berserker and every single person in the company to be the fighting champion gimmick. And I really got behind that. It was a good way to build a champion that, just came out of nowhere.
But there was it wasn't like as popular as it was today. And you knew there was like really almost no way he was going to lose the belt.
Yeah, he wasn't wrestling top guys on TV.
Yeah.
He was wrestling job guys and underneath guys.
So it really helped build him up. So when you got that main event of the pay-per-view, when he's wrestling Diesel or whoever, you were excited to see that because you thought there was a way he was going to lose the title.
Right.
And that built it up more than any title today.
Now, do you think that if we're staying in this the spectrum of WWE, do you think that if they take that platform that NXT has built on, where they have these talent come in and obviously they're the jobbers for a couple matches and then they build them up and you see how they change, from Enzo Amore to Alexa Bliss to even I have to go and say, and not because Cole's on the show, but the fact that Tommaso Ciampa, and I will put them over anybody in this last decade, Tommaso Ciampa and Johnny Gargano had the best storyline for 2 years, build up consistently over the 2 years, and finished it better than anybody has ever done this decade. At all,
America,
bar
yes.
none.
Yeah, in America, absolutely.
Right.
First, I want to say, how dare you ring up Enzo Amore in this and make him more relevant than he needs to be?
Did he bring up Enzo?
Well, I mean, I have to bring up Enzo in that concept because he's part of one of those ones that started as he looked ridiculous and then it built up. I mean, you can't deny when he
He
did
still
get in.
looks ridiculous.
Well, no,
he still looks ridiculous.
No, but what I'm
His
saying,
in-ring work looks ridiculous.
but what I'm saying is that, you know, the pop, you can't deny the pop that they got, especially when they were doing NXT and, like, what was it, in the UK, they did NXT. This is before their UK NXT, and then they did the NXT up in Canada, and then when they were on Monday Night Raw, I mean, you saw all these talent that are in, and most of all those at that time that were in NXT, they built their young talent up to be in the WWE, the main roster, and now they're just getting jobbed out. I mean, I feel bad for Ricochet. I feel bad for a lot of them. I mean, if I was any one of those, I've had conversations with this outside the show, outside of our friendship. Like, I wouldn't want to go up to the main roster. They've gotten worse and worse as the decade's gone on, especially in 2019.
Yeah, I will stipulate that even though the guy's the drizzling shits and one of the worst wrestlers I've ever seen in my life, that Enzo did manage to get over with the crowd, and he did have a gimmick that worked out, and people did hit the whole spiel with him when he came out and did it, and that's great. But the problem is when people get over kind of on their own, they don't get over with Vince McMahon because he didn't create them. So
Right.
Then all of a sudden it's a problem, and
Right.
it's one of those things. Being a lifelong Oakland Raiders fan, yes, I'm sorry, but you know that when Al Davis was still alive, we all just kind of sat around going like, well, you know, we're gonna suck till the old man dies, so let's just live on our past greatness.
Well, that's just being too narrow-minded at an old age, not realizing that, hey, you know, things aren't working like they used to, and that you need to probably step away. Like it's like, you know, going back to where you said, Dave said that, you know, some of the wrestlers need to retire or do some other different roles. Like, I think Vince is at that point. Well, you know, he's obviously not going to do it, but he should, you know, at least have somebody have the balls to tell Kevin Dunn to, you know, shut up once in a while, because I blame him the majority of all this stuff. I mean, he's one of the biggest yes men ever.
Here goes the half-hour rant of Charles on Vince McMahon now.
No, I'm not going to go on a rant because it's not worth it anymore. I mean, it's not gonna matter anymore. We're gonna get the same old. And that's what we're gonna have to, you know, like about it.
Yeah, I mean, and that's
really
kind of the
feel.
disappointing part, is that we just like know it's not going to get any better, and so I think people have just given up. And I mean, we've even seen it with the ratings in the Wednesday Wars, right? Like, people have basically already given up on AEW and just kind of stopped, and it's unfortunate. I was hoping it would be better, and I'm hoping they can bounce back, but right now their rating's less than half of what it was opening night, and it's less than NXT's rating.
Well, you know, you have two shows on a Wednesday. I mean, you have your audience split. Plus, another thing is there's so much god dang wrestling. I love it as a pro wrestling fan. I love it. But I can't even watch all of it at the same time. You know, my son has a lot of sports. A lot of us that grew up in that era, you know, we're old now. We have kids and we got other things to do. And Wednesdays, you know, they used to be pretty popular, but that's when you had only two big entities. You know, you guys brought up earlier in the show, like now everybody, well, I think Cole said it also in his comment more, and I could be wrong, but Dave brought it up too. Like, it's just too much of the, you know, all this big names are all out there. Too many companies want to be, you know, in the big leagues, and it's kind of, you know, died it out. I mean, look how bad Ring of Honor has gone down to.
Well, when you create a short of this is what's always happened, and most of it is all WWE's fault. You know, back in the 80s, there were a couple dozen territories where everyone was drawing tens of thousands of people a week out to the stadiums to watch wrestling, and then WWE bought up all the talent. And once there's no one to draw a crowd, it's really hard to get people out to go see another show when there's nobody on the card. And then when WWE had a down period, here's one of my pet peeves. We're going to go down a little bit of a rabbit hole here, because everyone talks about how Bret Hart didn't draw money as the champion, right? Well, if you will look at WrestleMania 8 and look at the card and see who's on WrestleMania 8, you have Ultimate Warrior, Roddy Piper, Hulk Hogan, Sid Vicious, who was a big star at the time, who was really over. You had Randy Savage. You had these big top names, guys that have drawn money for years. And then WrestleMania 9, none of those guys are on the card.
Right.
And Bret's in there with a guy who's only been around for a few months in Yokozuna to draw a main event. Yeah, they threw Hogan in last minute, but that he was gone after that. So as soon as WrestleMania 9's over, Ric Flair's gone, Hogan's gone, Savage is gone, everybody's gone who was a top draw, and Paul Orndorff is gone, Ravishing Rick Rude is gone. Like, there's so many guys that all left all at the same time, and then you're left with this WWE product where it's Bret and Shawn and Undertaker sort of, and nobody else. No one on the undercard, no tag teams, nobody that means anything in the company except for Bret and Shawn. And then after Yoko, when Bret got the title back, ratings were going up, and then Bret went away and the ratings dropped precipitously when Shawn Michaels was champion. So I'll just throw that out there for all the people that think Shawn's better than Bret. Okay, good for you. But, I mean, you go from having everybody in the world on the card to nobody, and it's really hard. And that's what independent wrestling is facing going forward now.
Well, to add with that, you also have to put in that, they at least had matches that you never seen during their big their pay-per-views. Now you have matches that are the same thing that you've already seen like a couple weeks ago. Independent wrestling, you kind of have new things. But I see what you're saying. You have this mass shortage around, and I've noticed there's not a lot of, and they kind of are getting in their little repeated broken record now, where there's not a lot of people trying to build up newer talent in the indies. They're getting the same ones over and over again. Yeah, they're facing different people that they're trying to build up, but I mean, I don't know if I've seen in the last 2 years, any real new ones come out like the your main ones that are blown up in the last 4 years.
Well,
I disagree. I disagree. We got El Phantasmo, New Japan Pro Wrestling. He wrestles MLW all over. He's fantastic. We got Switchblade Jay White. He's amazing. All the new Bullet Club right now are just incredible. And you do have top talent out there. It's just people are so burnt out from watching all this other wrestling that they don't search for it.
No, I mean I add all those that you just said, Dave, all together. Just some of the ones recently that I've seen, it's the same. If you would take some of these unknown indie areas that a lot of people don't see, you have a lot of bright stars. Like in the Midwest, there's a lot of bright stars. Like Airwolf is one of the main ones that I like. If we could just keep pushing that. I don't know if anybody sees WrestlePalooza, First Wrestling out of Minnesota. They have some of the top indie talent that come out there, but it doesn't seem like all these other ones are kind of trying to, utilize this talent that's out there.
Oh, believe me, we understand. Like, when we came up in the business, there were so many guys in Southern California that were truly, truly great workers that nobody ever heard of because it was just impossible to get your name out there in the early 2000s being here in the West Coast because there was there were so many guys.
And it was hard to get paid because if you say, this is my rate to work, there's 30 guys willing to do it for free.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that really killed the business for a lot of people. And unfortunately, the promoter would go with the free guys, and a lot of times they were just shit. You know what I mean?
Right.
Because they were going to draw the same crowd kind of no matter what.
Yeah. But, you know, we had to go through Westside G, which was like a little like money mark backyarder that would work anywhere for free. We had Mr. California that was just the drizzling shit that thought he was a deathmatch wrestler, but he wasn't. He was just a pathetic little shit fuck, you know what I mean?
Pathetic little shit fuck is very accurate.
I agree. And during one of my matches, man, I was heel for some reason, and he was face. They just threw me in because, you know, and the guy was just like he made me turn face because we had the barriers at WPW because this was like the old WCW setup after they went out. So we were actually like wrestling in like the Thunder Ring, and we had all the mats, we had the barricades and stuff like that. And there was a family and a whole bunch of kids just like on the barricade, and he went to like Irish whip me into the barricade, so I would hit these children, and I'm like, dude, that's just fucked up. Like they don't understand. So I had the baseball slide and kind of like break character, you know, like shit, like kids move, and before I could do that, he fucking splashes me onto the barricade, hitting the children. Like, the guy was literally a dumb fuck.
That tracks.
Well, so have you guys seen a change? I mean, we've talked about, you know, WWE and independence and some of the other promotions and that stuff. With 2010s coming to an end, have you seen things change within that system?
Of letting dumb fucks wrestle?
No, I mean just things being different for the better.
I mean Rollins is always going to be in WWE, so there's that.
I don't, you know, independent wrestling has changed for the better just in that people know it exists now, and people are more open to going to see it. But as far as out here on the West Coast, it hasn't gotten any better as far as getting paid and having places to work. It's about the same if you live here, although at least if you get good enough out here, there are two places you can get a decent payday and get seen on a national stage in bar wrestling and PWG, both kind of brainchilds of Joey Ryan, by the way. So thank you, Joey, for all of that. But yeah, I mean, independent wrestling is great. I mean, you can make a living on independent wrestling now, and that's a fantastic thing. At the beginning of this decade, it was not quite the same as it is now, and so I'm grateful for that in itself.
Well, okay, so let's get down to here, since we're talking all over in all different areas of your experience. Why don't you guys round up in 2019 your top 5 each, and then maybe you can possibly get a top 10 if it's possible for the decade, and then I can read off what CBS has put out for professional wrestling for the decade.
I just want to go out and say that I'm not prepared for a list, and this is the reason why. We had this conversation, and I'm like, I don't want to do a fucking list. Everyone's doing a list. And we're all kind of in agreement, and Trey was like, yeah, I'll just read off the top on this website, and I'm like, cool, because we don't need a fucking list. And now I'm on here, and it's like, let's have you guys get a list real fast. And so I just want people to know that I'll shout out some names, but I don't know what order they're going to be in.
Fair enough.
That's okay. So just how about we just go some of our favorites from this year, Dave? Who were some of the guys you already knew you liked, and maybe some of the breakout stars from this year?
I gotta say El Phantasmo. I actually first saw him in the J Cup when I went to go watch it. This guy's a phenomenal fucking worker. He's just amazing. And to like just do this, I was talking to TJ after the show, and I told him, and I usually don't like say like stuff about this shit, but I go, man, El Phantasmo, he was fucking incredible. He got the heat over. the whole like tournament. He actually won the tournament, and he took the trophy that they get when Liger gave it to him, and he just drop kicked it, which got him so much fucking heat. And TJ replies with, "Yeah, he kicked me out of the tournament last round," and he goes, "I was never happier to lose a match in my life." That's how great this guy is. So he's my top talent right there on the list. Then Switchblade Jay White. This guy's incredible as well. He has the heat. He knows how to work the crowd. Just fantastic guy. The whole Bullet Club again, just incredible. You know, Tamatanga, so forth and so forth. You know, TJ's actually he's coming off of the WWE run, and he's kind of like now actually like really building himself up, and that's pretty incredible too. Gotta always go for my boys. You know what I mean? Candice LeRae, you know, she's amazing as well. She's really built her name up as to. She's one of she's probably the best female talent that is in a ring right now. Just so much good talent. That's why when people like to say, I don't know who's good anymore. Like no one's good anymore. Like there are a lot of great talent out there. They're just under rocks, I guess. I don't know. But let's see. Johnny Gargano is amazing. You're welcome, Cole.
Back to that ass history.
As long as Charles isn't like cheering for him and he gets another fucking concussion, you know what I mean?
Oh,
I know.
I like you too, Dave. I like you too.
Yeah. So that I believe is 5, right?
Yeah, that was 5 people. That's good for
5.
this year. That's a good list. I will say Jay White has not got me yet. I just
Really?
To me, every time I've seen him, he's like cookie cutter, just vanilla playing wrestling. Like part of the problem is that he looks like he's fucking 12 years old, and I can't look at a 12-year-old and take them seriously as a threat in a fighting sport. But I see that he does have abilities. I don't think he's like the drizzling shits or anything. I just don't take him that seriously. I need to see. Admittedly, I need to see more of his stuff. But when he wrestled Okada last year, I was very disappointed because it wasn't to the standard of Okada matches, I felt. And so I was a little disappointed in that. And I haven't been able to take him seriously yet. But I've never closed my mind off to somebody's abilities. Like, if I did, I would still be booing John Cena, and I think John Cena is one of the best wrestlers on the planet now at this point. And but for me, this year, I think MJF is probably the breakout star, most potential of anyone to actually break through and become a megastar in the business right now. In a smart wrestling town of real wrestling fans, he turned heel and got smart marks to throw stuff at him when they know it's a work, they know it's a show, it's a smart town, and he got people to throw things at him in 2019. That is maybe the most impressive thing I've seen in wrestling this year. So he's definitely one of my guys from the year for this year. I think. Oh man, who else really had a good year? It's tough. I'm really impressed with Rhea Ripley. I think she has the potential to be a big star. I really like Bianca Belair. I think she has a chance to be a big star, maybe the most potential out there. And I'm going to go ahead and say Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus. No, not Marco Stunt. I think that'll round up my top 5 guys.
Sorry, Charles.
Yeah, I knew that was coming.
But yeah, I think those 5 people right there are the future of the business. And oh my goodness, Tessa Blanchard. we absolutely have to put Tessa Blanchard as my number one person for this year. What she's been able to accomplish, making Impact relevant again, at least be conversed about, and breaking the glass ceiling, so to speak, and having intergender matches and building all the way up to a title match. What she's done this year is absolutely incredible, and she will be rounding off my top 5.
All right, quick question for both of you. Who do you think had the best entrance music of the year?
Entrance music? Ooh, that's a good question.
For 2019.
For me, I'm gonna have to go with Hangman Page.
I can get behind that. I can get behind Hangman and Cowboy Shit. I absolutely can get behind that for this year as entrance music, and maybe even one of the coolest promos of the year with the Cowboy Shit.
AJ Styles, MJF.
For this year, though, I feel like AJ's kind of hit that mailing it in point in his career.
No, I should clarify. I'm talking about the OC one, the new one that they have. So MJF, OC, Aleister Black.
Is he even on TV?
Yeah, Aleister Black's on Mondays.
Okay.
Tessa Blanchard's one's pretty good, and I have to say Cody Rhodes is pretty good too.
Yeah, I think his contribution to the business this year is by far the biggest contribution of anybody.
Now, I want to ask you guys this because my friend Dave Le Greque does a top 5 on his show, and a lot of people were kind of weirded out about one of these, the number 4 spot in his list. A lot of people were, like, oh, shut up, he had it right. So his top 5 wrestlers of the decade, okay, and you guys might agree with him. I want to hear both sides. He has AJ Styles as number 1. He has I Am Jericho number 2. He has the Rainmaker Okada at number 3. He has Charlotte Flair at number 4. And he has Daniel Bryan as number 5. And this is his top 5 for the decade list. I want to hear your thoughts about this.
I want to start off by saying it's all relative. Who I think is amazing, I think is amazing. What he thinks is amazing, he thinks is amazing, and that's what's so beautiful about this whole entertainment of wrestling.
Right.
Is that you don't have to like who everyone else likes.
No, I get that. I just want to hear your guys'
bullshit. Everyone
opinion.
has to like what I say.
Right?
But I'm guessing the one that you're trying to point out as no one likes her is Charlotte Flair. Am I correct?
You could be possibly correct.
Well, you said the number 4, and you said that was number 4. So
yeah,
yes, everyone's shitting on Charlotte Flair as being one of the top wrestlers of the decade. I personally don't have a problem with that. I can get behind Charlotte Flair as one of the top wrestlers of the decade, absolutely.
Okay, so here's the reason why I'm thinking that spot. All right, so it's been repetitively, like, not saying that she's not a great athlete, that she hasn't done a good job. My whole thing is that too much consistency of trying to make her the female version of her father. She is so talented beyond belief that she doesn't need that. And a lot of the championship stints that she's had have just been, kind of, in my opinion, like, really greasy, like, stupid, like, transition titles that had no point of her even having it. So, like, now she's the 10-time champion, and basically, like I said, they're still keeping her under her daddy's shadow, which she doesn't need to. I'd prefer to have her out of WWE, going on her own. I would prefer to have Tessa Blanchard doing more, because she really has carved a niche out of her own, instead of living and getting forced under her daddy or her stepdad's, like, shadow. That's why I had an issue with that spot.
Well, see, I don't, because it's wrestling and you want people to hate people, and therefore coasting on Daddy's name is like literally the easiest way to get heat ever in the history of the world. Like, look at Donald Trump Jr. Like everyone hates that dude, and he hasn't done anything. Like, they just hate him because he's related to the guy.
Well, anyway, let's go back to wrestling.
That is wrestling. I'm just using an example outside of life. We're not
Right.
getting into politics.
Is
It's
in
okay.
the Hall of Fame.
Change your tampon. It's okay. We don't
Oh,
need-
no, let's not start this. You told... No. I'm going by what you told me. Anyway, so we got 2019 CBS Sports Wrestling Awards. They have Wrestler of the Year as Adam Cole, NXT. They have Match of the Year.
I want to ask what happened to your 5 list.
I already said it.
That was entrance music. That was a whole different conversation.
That's the only one I had, and then I had this one from CBS. I wasn't gonna do any of the other ones.
Yours. I mean, we already know it's gonna be like Marco Stunt and Nyla Rose and that and shit.
No,
Dark Order is on there probably.
I'm not gonna talk about your favorite tag team.
The guy throwing the punches is like number 3 on your list. We know that.
That was your favorite Intercontinental Champion.
But go on.
Anyway, as the Tiger is a little cranky and didn't get enough sleep, I'll go back to this 2019 CBS Sports Wrestling Awards.
No, we want to hear your list, like yours.
My list?
Yeah,
all right.
Your list.
Okay, so we'll have AJ Styles, Okada, Zack Sabre Jr., Johnny Gargano, Tommaso Ciampa, and out of the women, Tessa Blanchard.
That's your decade list?
Well, this is the year list. You want me the decade list? The decade list.
No, okay. No, you that was your top of the year. Okay,
Yeah.
I'm with you. We're on the same page.
Yeah. No, do you want me to go decade?
No, we're getting to decade. Calm down.
See, Charles thought he was just going to coast through this interview, this show, and not have to contribute anything besides his stupid remarks. and that's not going to happen.
Somebody give him a Snickers bar. He's a little cranky at the moment. All right.
We don't want to make...
Yeah. Okay. Speaking of 2019, CBS Sports Wrestling Awards were put out, and they have, like I was saying earlier, it has Wrestler of the Year as Adam Cole for NXT. Match of the Year was Johnny Gargano defeating Adam Cole in a 2 out of 3 falls match. NXT TakeOver New York. Best moment angle of the year was Kofi Kingston winning the WWE Championship at WrestleMania 35. Worst moment angle of the year, wild card rule for the WWE. Comeback Wrestler of the Year, Bray Wyatt, WWE. Breakout Wrestler of the Year, Rhea Ripley, NXT. I think that's valid. Rookie of the Year, MJF, AEW. Tag Team of the Year, Lucha Brothers, AEW. Commentator of the Year, Mauro Ranallo of NXT. What do you guys think of that?
I think Mauro is a super nice guy. He was I met him at one of the New Japan shows, and he was absolutely one of the most humble and respectful humans I've ever met, and I'm glad he's getting the praise he deserves.
I think he's up there with one of the all-time great announcers that actually get you into the match. I mean, it doesn't matter what sport it is. Or if it's, anything. Like, I've listened to him on K1 Boxing, his other outlets that he does for mixed martial arts. Like, dude, it's like he makes the match even better. I mean, it's not like the athletes are any less, but I'm just saying, like,
oh, yeah, he
adds to it.
Absolutely incredible.
So, we're getting down to the end of the show, and I had some ideas of what we could do here to kind of end the year off. But I'd rather not go with my ideas. I'd rather go with whatever you guys can think of. So, real quick, what are some of the things that you want to point out that you really liked the most about doing
I
the
just
podcast?
want to say, you can't like put that on a platter of, I had an idea and not present it to us. What was your idea?
My idea was to do something completely different, but I don't want to talk about it.
Well, you can't put that on a platter and then pull it away from us. What did you want to do?
This is good podcasting right there. The host doesn't want to do what he wanted to do, and he's leaving it up to the inmates to decide.
Yes.
Charles, what did you want to do?
I'm sorry. I'm under contract. I can't confirm or say anything of what I wanted. I was going to leave this up to the inmates.
You wanted to have that same conversation we had before we pressed record, but we're not doing
No, not even that. I had no idea about that conversation until that conversation happened. But, I mean, basically, what are some of the things that you liked about since you've done the podcast since September? I mean, we just started. We, got nominated for a podcast award.
That we did.
I mean, it might not be the mega big one that everybody probably is familiar with, but at least it's a podcast award. I mean, we did something right.
Hey, we were mentioned at a podcasting award show with Chris Jericho, so whatever. Good enough.
Right?
I'll take the win.
Yeah.
For me, this has just been a fun experience so far. I made a new friend in Charles here, kind of reunited with my old friend Dave, which is always great. We were kind of talking after the show, after we recorded last night, about some of our old times and old memories, and it's good to relive that stuff. It's good to reconnect with a good human. And, recently I just lost a very dear friend, way too young, way too early, and for no reason. The lights just went out suddenly. It wasn't a car wreck. It wasn't anything outside of the ordinary. And so I've come to appreciate the people that are in my life more, worry about my own mortality and whatnot. And I just want to, I've been taking kind of every day for the last few weeks just to tell people how much I appreciate them and make sure that I don't say, hey, I'll see you next time, and that I get out there. And so thank you for making this happen, Dave, and hooking me up with Charles. And Charles, thank you for doing everything you're doing to make this podcast happen. And I hope that 2020 is a big year for us, and maybe more than a couple dozen people will listen. So
I appreciate that. Dave?
I want to go and say it's been a blast doing this podcast. Got to reconnect with Cole, as he was saying. Me and Cole, we used to be really good friends, used to be at his house like every weekend, even more than that. He's such a great guy. Love that guy. He was like a brother. We kind of lost connection after I quit wrestling, which I regret. So it's so great to have him kind of in my life again. I met you, Charles, for what good or bad that fucking is. Now, everyone thinks that like we give Charles so much shit, and we do, and the debate on how much is well deserved or not is ongoing forever. But
it's under investigation.
Yeah. But with this podcast, we did kind of have a rocky start with a third party in here, and I'm proud that we kind of got through that, and Charles really came out on his own, and I do really appreciate Charles for pushing this podcast on us. So it's a great thing. We did get nominated for an award. I love both of you guys. So maybe I shouldn't give you too much shit, Charles, but it's so fucking easy. It's so fucking easy. But behind the podcast, we all really fucking appreciate each other, and I'm not gonna go into conversation about what I do for Charles and stuff like that. But behind the podcast, I do really show that I do love Charles. You know what I mean? He's one of my friends. He's actually one of my top friends for someone I have never met. So
yeah, live and in person, absolutely.
yeah. So yeah, it's just been a blast, and 2020 we're gonna keep going strong. So,
well, I appreciate that, you guys. I needed to get an outlet to do something different to change the life. As you guys know, that we were talking off camera about some of the things in the last 4 years that our family had to go through, and there was not really anything like positive really going. I mean, there was positives with my son, with his grades, his athletics, his school, him being a healthy, a smart, brave individual. We had a lot of negative happening within the family and other things that were kind of just putting us down at this time of the year and in the last 4 years. So I wanted to do something different. I've always reached out. I've always liked professional wrestling. There's a real deep story of how I got liking professional wrestling when I was a kid. It had to do with the chip on the shoulder and not knowing a certain individual in my life that should have been there. But so it was just another way to kind of do stuff. So I was working. I remember where I started with this. I remember where I met Dave. I was completely flabbergasted and blown out of the water that I got to meet Cole. I've never really been anybody that really marks out there, because everybody's just like a human being. I've met people that have played in top television shows. I met professional wrestlers. I always tell my son, don't over exaggerate. They're regular human beings in the end of the day. I mean, you treat others the way you want to be treated. But this has been a blast. I'm not a good speaker out when I have a bunch of people in front of me, in a crowd. I can talk for days. Obviously Cole and Dave know that, because we have to try to cut the conversations less than 2 hours every time we talk on the phone.
And I just had to hang up on him.
Yeah, hang up, act like you're going to bed. Oh, gotta go. Gotta take a shower or something. I got some food. I gotta go to work.
I think I hear the Russians attacking us.
Yeah.
I gotta get going.
Oh.
But I mean, it's been a blast, though. I mean, this is fun. It's a positive. My son gets to help me. Thank you guys for being able to help me with this, and it's another positive in my son and myself's life.
Oh, you're welcome.
Yes, thank you for that, Charles.
Sorry, I've been drinking soda
okay.
the whole show, and I thought I was gonna burp, and I didn't think anybody needed to have that go in their ear if they're listening to this podcast. So that's why there was a little bit of a brief stop, pause, no sound or anything. I figured I'd be a little considerate or courteous to the ears. So
it's all right. Thanks for giving us ending the year with a prime example of why Dave and I do all the talking.
Yes, exactly. Well, why don't you guys take us out for the end of the year's show, since I brought you guys in most of the time during the show. So the platform is yours. I real quick before we do this, I guess I should say, find us on social media. Find us on YouTube. The Kota iRadio Network podcast is on YouTube. We got Twitter, which is the @Kota iRadio Network, WK capitalized at the end. We got Uncut Live with a space between Uncut and Live for Twitter for the Uncut show during the podcast. And then we have ProWrestling Uncut, which is Dave and Cole's basically exclusive pro wrestling talk show. Find them at Pro and then capital WRES Uncut. You can find them on Twitter. We have Instagram, same words and spelling. So like, share, subscribe, do all that crazy social media nonsense. Give us comments in the podcast, on YouTube, whatever. Come at us, and we appreciate y'all.
Thank you for offering us the outro while you do the outro.
Yes.
Well, no, I mean, I'm not. You guys can do the outro. I'm just saying social media stuff.
We're already
do
out.
the social media, talk about the sponsors. Come on, Charles.
All right. Well, the sponsors, yeah, I was gonna do the sponsors at with the theme song and the outro part, but I mean,
Good stuff. All right. Well,
see what I gotta put up with these guys. I mean, people, please subscribe, help us out. Yes.
Well, on that note, for Dave Tigerman Smith, my good friend, for DJ Barbecue, and for myself, Cole Dawson, we would like to give you a heartfelt thanks for putting up with us for these last few months, and we hope you will join us for 2020. And have yourselves a happy new year, and we will see you in 2020. Thanks for listening.
Happy New Year! By Kback.Rock. Rock radio the way rock radio should be. Go to kbackradio.com and listen today. Jekyll and Hyde Barbecue, our brothers from another mother. They make barbecue so good, it'll put a smile on your face. Remedy Brewing Company, it's the remedy for what ails you. And Midwest All Pro Wrestling. Go to MidwestAllProWrestling.com and get tickets and feel the excitement.